Hi, my name is Sonya Jones. I'm the service manager for We Are With You Shropshire, and I'm the safeguarding lead. I've been asked to produce a short film to discuss my presentation at a cross-parliamentary group where we discussed county lines and child criminal exploitation. I began by giving a history of county lines, and what we know is that county lines was a result of market saturation. Established gangs from London, Birmingham, Manchester and Liverpool began to work out of regional market towns. It wasn't until 2015 that the term county lines was first used. Part of the county lines model is actually a business model that recruits children to carry out labour. Children are easily controlled, and they're a very inexpensive resource. 2018, around 1 in 3 people sentenced for supplying crack cocaine and 1 in 4 sentenced for supplying heroin were actually under the age of 21. Typical county line scenario is a group establishes a network between urban and county location into which drugs, predominantly heroin and crack, are supplied. Branded mobile phone is established to which orders are placed, and another phone is used to pass the orders to, and that's generally controlled by senior members of the gang. The group exploit young and vulnerable people to store and supply drugs and the cash, and they secure the use of properties as well, which we now know as cookery. Exploited individuals travel between the urban and the county location to replenish stock and to deliver cash. I then spoke about our experience of working with young people in Shropshire. For us in Shropshire in 2016, everything changed. A young boy, Michael Warman, 16-year-old from Speak, Liverpool, was murdered by a 19-year-old from Bootle. The community went into complete shock as to how could a 16-year-old boy be murdered on our streets. We really looked at why this had happened, what had caused this to happen, why was he here? And eventually we established that he'd actually been here probably since he was about 14 years old. He'd been trafficked and exploited to Shropshire. And at the time there was a turf wars between 2 gangs from Merseyside for the rights to deal the county lines exploitation from that area. As soon as Michael was murdered, the gang changed the model and they began to recruit local children. But part of that recruitment process was cannabis. So the current picture we have in Shropshire is there are many active lines. I actually deliver a lot of presentations on county lines, and I don't say how many lines anymore because it can never be a true picture because the numbers change. But it's anything between 10 to 20. When one line is taken out, another one usually appears very, very quickly. And county lines in activity in Shropshire is actually controlled by Liverpool and West Midlands groups. Intimidation and violence are common, and victims, including children, can receive life-changing injuries. Children are recruited as drug runners to transport the drugs and money. Adults are recruited for their properties, which we know as cookery. So what we're seeing is many of the young people who are groomed into child criminal exploitation are previously unknown to local services. Grooming typically starts at around 13 years old, and they're often given free cannabis to use as part of this grooming. And then they are actually groomed to sell cannabis. Part of this process will involve getting the young people to be beholden to the gang, and the way they do that is through debt bondage. And the scenario with that is a young person will have a significant amount of cash or drugs on them. There will be a fake robbery. They will lose the money and the drugs to whoever robbed them, and they will be then beholden to the gang. Grooming always involves dehumanising adult service users, so that if ever the young people are required to carry out acts of violence towards adult victims, they will be able to do so. It's part of brainwashing. It's very similar to child soldier models, where children are desensitised. So who's been targeted? So some children are more vulnerable than others to exploitation, such as those who are in poverty, experiencing family breakdown, mental health issues, looked after status, or excluded from school. However, county lines can happen to anyone's child. We have seen many cases of children that seemingly come from stable families and have had no previous contact with services or agencies. What we are seeing a lot more of are parents paying off drug debts, and that causes us additional risks. The impact of COVID. During lockdown, there were increasing reports of even children who were younger being exploited. So we're looking at the 12 to 14 age group. So exploited 16 and 17-year-olds, often known to the police due to lockdown, found it hard to move around. So this pushed them to recruit even younger children. And this was done in a variety of ways. Social media played a big part, as did gaming. A consequence of COVID, county lines became more hidden, but it still continued. And children were being increasingly moved around the county under the cover of darkness. So the role of substance misuse providers. Our approach is to engage with young people, as we all do. We listen to what the young person is saying. We ask them about their ambitions. We ask them to talk about what they want to do with their lives. Do they want to go to college, university, do a course, get a job, an apprenticeship? We become their advocate. Once we've developed their trust, we work to look at different areas that affects their lives. Their journey is defined by them at their speed, with their worker being at their side every step of the way. And this is the most effective style of support. What we've learned, that young persons' substance misuse services are vital, and they are a vital part of a multi-agency approach in relation to exploitation. Substance misuse is a key indicator to both sexual exploitation and child criminal exploitation. And young person substance misuse services have the knowledge and the expertise. Working with parents is important. They need to be a part of the multi-agency approach. Once a young person is in debt bondage, preventing further exploitation is virtually impossible. Exploitation in the criminal justice system. There needs to be a greater understanding of the national referral mechanism by criminal justice services, currently being underused, and cannabis-related referrals are low. The Youth Justice Service is totally ill-equipped to meet the needs of victims and child criminal exploitation. They are actually victims of modern-day slavery. Judges often acknowledge that a positive national referral mechanism decision has been made. However, on sentencing will say the young person made a choice to commit a criminal act on the day, and they are most definitely not seen as victims. Custodial sentencing for the young people that we have worked with creates risk to further exploitation by county lines gangs once they're in the prison with the criminal justice system. So our recommendations are that an urgent need for a national strategy in relation to child criminal exploitation. This would help ensure resources can be put to where they need to be. Local authorities need to have a better understanding of their local child criminal exploitation profile. Some are fantastic at this and they know what's going on in their area, but some are really bad to the point they don't even recognise child criminal exploitation. Local authority need to collect monthly data in relation to child criminal exploitation, as they do with child sexual exploitation. Local authorities should have a joint exploitation panels, not just a sexual exploitation panel. This must include criminal exploitation, and there needs to be greater collaboration work between police and the local authorities. We commissioned a researcher from Chester University, and they explored the characteristic profile and parental experiences of child criminal exploitation within Shropshire, and that's available on the We Are With You website, and the link is within this presentation. And that was it. Any questions? Thank you.